So one of the most popular fragrances by the brand Dunhill is the original Icon, which was like a neroli bomb. And neroli is this very bright, citrusy ingredient. Well, last year in 2021, we had the release of a couple different fragrances. We have here Dunhill Icon Racing Blue. So just based off the name alone, you can expect this to be a brighter, fresher iteration of the original, which actually did tend to get a little bit woody in the dry down. This one has some slightly different citrusy ingredients to it. I'm very excited to give you my thoughts on the smell, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my review of Dunhill Icon Racing Blue, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable all notifications by clicking on the bell icon, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from today's episode. Now, before I dive into the review, I do want to mention that if you are interested in purchasing this fragrance, currently I checked and fragrancebuy.ca has it for a really good price. I've been using their services for several years now. Great customer service, really fast shipping, very reliable. They have a lot of really hard to find designer and niche fragrances for really good prices. And so here we have another citrus bomb, and that's probably a good thing depending on your stance when it comes to fragrances. Some people love the darker, smokier woods. Some people enjoy the bright, fresh, amiable, casual, citrusy fragrances, and you're definitely going to get the latter with this one. So in addition to having the neroli, which you're also going to find a lot of in the original, this one has lime, bergamot. It has a combination of both Ambroxan and ambergris, but to be honest with you, it's just Ambroxan. But then you have some other woodsy ingredients that kind of add like an oceanic feel to it, like driftwood, for example. There's also like this salt accord in there. Don't worry, it doesn't smell salty or fishy, at least not to my nose. I certainly wouldn't compare it to anything like a Salmeron by Healy. In any case, I think this is a very agreeable smell, and it's signature scent worthy, and I also think you'll get a ton of compliments wearing this one. I'm excited to break down the smell. Let's start things off with the presentation. So of course, citrus is the name of the game when it comes to this fragrance. It opens up super bright and juicy and fresh, and you have that lime note in the opening, which I think is the perfect pairing with the bergamot. Now, of course, with the original, you're gonna get a lot of neroli. And I remember smelling the original for the first time and thinking to myself, this is like a woodsier Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford, which is a very citrusy fragrance, also happens to be quite expensive. And the original is definitely veering in the direction of neroli. In the case of this fragrance, you're actually going to get a nice balance of citrus ingredients. So it's not a plain neroli scent, and it doesn't remind you of that classic eau de cologne like a 4711. This one is a little bit more complex, and definitely the bergamot has a lot to do with it. The coriander has a lot to do with it. There's even cardamom in the heart of this fragrance. So it actually does have a bit of a spicy kick, and the spiciness adds to the complexity. So what does that mean, and what does that translate to in terms of you wearing the fragrance and utilizing it going about your day? Well, the way that it's going to smell in the opening is going to be a little bit different from the way that it smells an hour into the evolution, 2 hours into the evolution, so on and so forth, because most notably, the citrus in the opening is going to go away, right? So that bergamot lime combination is not going to linger forever. It is a bit ephemeral. So you're going to get it for about 20 minutes to half an hour. And then in the dry down, right, maybe like an hour into the evolution, you're going to get more of the spices. And here's the thing, I think it's because of the spices that people are making comparisons to some other popular designer fragrances on an online fragrance forum. So they've compared it to Dolce & Gabbana The One, which is a classic men's fragrance, beautiful fragrance, kind of ambery, fruity, a little bit of a tobacco vibe in it as well. And I get a little bit of that ambery component in the dry down because this does get just a tad bit sweet. It's like 10% sweet, 90% fresh. So it's still very casual. People have also compared it to Kenzo Porom, and that's a very classic fragrance. I personally own a bottle. I've had it since I was in high school, to be honest with you. And I can kind of get the comparison to that. And I also get a bit of the original in here as well because there is neroli, but it is its own fragrance and it's unique, and I really admire and appreciate it for that. So especially if you're looking for something that is not going to smell like your average Joe, And initially I had a bit of an apprehension about that because you have bergamot, coriander, Ambroxan. And so I was like, okay, is this gonna go in the direction of like a Dior Sauvage? So this one doesn't have black pepper, but it does have some other spicy ingredients like the coriander and the cardamom. And the short answer is no, it doesn't smell like Dior Sauvage, but it is very fresh. The type of DNA in a fragrance that people are gonna compliment you on, right? I've worn this to work a few times. Every time I've worn it, I felt confident, I felt great. I can't say I've gotten a compliment from it, but that's because I haven't worn it to work enough. So I surmise that if I continue to wear this one to work, yes, somebody will eventually compliment me on it. So if you're looking for that kind of a DNA, if you're looking for something that people are gonna smell it on you and they're gonna say, wow, you smell nice, what is that, right? This is that type of a fragrance. The original Icon, I suppose because of that overdose of neroli, could be a little bit more polarizing, but I also find the original Icon to be very, very wearable. This one, on the other hand, I think veers a little bit more into casual territory, but of course citrus is an ingredient that I've always associated with having a refined quality. So if you want to wear this one dressed up, you can do that too. It's a great scent. As I'm smelling it here, it's been like 20-25 minutes since I sprayed it on. It's still very fresh and vibrant and energetic. This is the type of fragrance that I see myself wearing when I just want to get work done, right? I'm driven, I'm motivated, I'm feeling ambitious on that day. It's a great scent, and if you haven't tried it, if you're a fan of the original, or if you're just a fan of Dunhill fragrances, this is one that you should definitely check out. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now first, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, like I said, I did have some apprehensions going into it. I was like, okay, is this gonna be another twist of the Dior Sauvage smell? It's not, right? It does its own things. It has a unique heart to it with the cardamom and the neroli, and it's very clean and citrusy, and it dries down to like this driftwood, sandalwood combination with a little bit of Ambroxan lingering in the base as well, because it is a base note, despite what is said on note pyramids that you might find online. But in any case, very fresh fragrance, really enjoying it. In terms of the longevity, you're gonna get a solid 7 hours from this fragrance. And so somewhere in the vein of like 6 to 7 hours, which is kind of expected for this bright, fresh DNA. But for me, that totally works, right? I work 8 hours a day at my quote-unquote day job, and so it gets me through my day job. I feel great. I can smell it throughout the whole day. Projection is amazing for the first hour and a half, and then it does get kind of quiet. I would say it radiates beyond an arm's length for that first hour to hour and a half, and it starts to sit fairly closer to the skin right around that 4.5 to 5 hour mark. Versatility on this one is great. In the warmer weather, it works really, really well. If you're wearing it indoors, you can wear it all year round. This one is very versatile in that regard. So, but I think it will really shine in the hotter weather because of all the citrus and the Ambroxan and stuff like that. I think this one can be worn best casually, but I can see myself really enjoying this one dressed up as well. It does lean a little bit masculine, but again, these are just recommendations. Wear what makes you happy. And I can see anybody of any age really enjoying this fragrance. Presentation on this one is kind of cool. I like how they did things a little bit differently with the 1 ounce bottle, although I kind of feel like I'm not getting the full presentation, because when you get the bigger sizes, the whole thing is blue, and so it kind of feels like a mini, not a mini per se, but like a travel size, which in reality it is. But in any case, I'm just being a stickler for that. I think it's a really nice presentation. Always enjoyed the Icon presentation of fragrances from Dunhill. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you enjoy fragrances like Versace Dylan Blue, Dior Sauvage, but you want something that's a little bit different, something that has probably an even amount of freshness, if not fresher, and something that'll leave you feeling energized throughout the day, definitely check out this fragrance. Really nice utilization of lime and Ambroxan. I think it's an awesome scent. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me today. That was my review of Dunhill Icon Racing Blue. If you enjoyed this review and if you took something of value from this video, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon, give it a thumbs up, and check out fragrancebuy.ca if you're interested in picking up this fragrance. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.